If you are just starting out with tattooing or wanting to get into tattooing, this video will be for you because today we're going to be doing a step-by-step follow along of this Lighthouse tattoo right here that I would consider to be more on the traditional end. What makes this session really simple is that we are just simply going to be lining from beginning to end. So I'm going to share my ideology, my thought process, my approach. Every choice I make, I'm going to do my best to explain why. So by the end of this follow along, you'll know exactly the thought process that I took to accomplish this tattoo. For the stencil, I will be leaving a link in the description so that way you can screenshot the stencil, print it out on your end. You can size it to whatever size you'd like. Let's start off with the gear that I'm going to be using. So for today, I'm going to be using Phantom Tattoo gloves. I'm going to be using simple Scotch shop wipes to keep my fake skin clean. Simple petroleum jelly. I will be using Formula 23 tattoo ink here. I'm also going to be using real skin, fake skin. I'm on top of a silicone Sinra hand, so that way I'm not tattooing on a flat surface. It's important, if you are just starting out, you do not have to do this. You can tattoo on a flat surface if you'd like, but for me, since I want to push myself outside of the boundaries and get a little bit more out of my practice sessions, I'm going to do it on a surface that has a curve. I'm also going to be using a 7-round shader. A 7-round shader seems pretty good for this entire tattoo. I don't think I'm going to need another needle size. However, if I do change it, I'll let you know, and I'll let you know the reasoning behind it. I'm also going to be running this with my Muso Toku Mercury M1 tattoo machine. I'll probably be running at around 6 volts the entire way. Once again, if I change it, I will definitely let you know what I change it to and why. I will be leaving my Amazon affiliate and other affiliate links for you in the description below to all the gear featured in this video, so that way you can check it out on your end. Whenever I tattoo, I always look at the tattoo that I'm going to be doing and I look at where I want to start. Typically, 10 times out of 10, I always start with the area that's closest to me. So for this instance, since I am on this side right here, I'm going to start with this area right here, or maybe on this side or on this side, and then work my way on up. It just, again, depends on what I naturally feel most comfortable with. So for this design, since I'm right-handed, I'm going to start off with my right side here, so that way I have a little bit more freedom to put my hand on the stencil while I work this side and this side. You get the idea. So that's the practical reasoning behind the choice of me starting on this side. So when you are starting out, whenever you make a choice, you want to make sure that you're making a choice with a practical approach. There has to be some sort of logical, practical reasoning behind the choices you are making as a beginner tattoo artist. Where I'm going to practically begin is right here at this bottom area for this exact tattoo. You can follow along with me. If you are left-handed, you can kind of just polarize the choices that I make onto the left side. I think it'll work out well that way as well. I have a little bit of ointment right here on my glove, so I'm going to go ahead and start, just dabbing this in the surrounding areas that I'm soon to be working. I don't want to put too much and I don't want to put too little. If I ever put too much ointment, I'll just simply dab away and in the surrounding areas as opposed to kind of keep blotching it on. I don't want to blotch it on because it's going to clog my needle tip here. So I have an adequate amount of ink flow. My needle's hanging around about that much. First things first is I'm going to get comfortable. And I talk about my lining step-by-step logic in my book called the Fundamental Tattoo Handbook, which you can go ahead and pick up. It's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You would head on over to either website, type in Daniel Yuck or the Fundamental Tattoo Handbook, and you'll see it pop right on up. So for this first line was this lever here close to the bottom. I'm going to repeat that with the other side. So I'm going to posturize and position myself. And then we're going to do this line right here with a mild taper in at the end. Not too much, but I do want a mild taper. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of ointment, wipe away the excess to see the true results. And I feel like we're doing good right there. So the next move is going to be either this leaf right here is not bad or this petal. But for me, I'm going to work this leaf and then I'll work my way to the petals. So that way I'm done with this outer edge right here. So here's my A point, and then I'm going to maneuver my way to my B point, and then just taper out like so. Same thing with over here, and taper out like so. Fantastic. Now I can go ahead and start maneuvering in this inner area. So I'm going to kind of taper in right here and do this half of the petal with a taper so that way I can connect it and it looks like one consistent line. And then I'm going to bring it back this way, just like that. Still running at 6 volts even. I have not changed that. If I do, I will let you know. I'm going to go back for some more ink so that way I have adequate ink flow. Apply some ointment to see the true results to make sure I'm not getting inconsistent or blotchy lines. If you are, that's okay, especially if you're just starting out. The idea is to finish this entire tattoo. Let's line it up together and then you can figure out what you like and what you don't at the end of the session. So the next part that I want to do is this petal right here. And the idea is to get majority of this done right here so I have freedom to kind of keep working the tattoo without the worry of losing a stencil. As we evolve and we work to human skin, the goal is to eventually tattoo human skin. So you want to kind of take that approach on fake skin. You don't want to be loosely just tattooing areas, have this over your stencil, because on human skin, the stencil is going to come off a lot quicker. Right now, it's actually kind of like embedded into the fake skin, and it's in there because I dried it with a heat gun, so therefore it's going to stay. However, we don't have that luxury in human skin, which is why following a specific workflow each and every tattoo is super important. So for example, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to start at this petal, and then I'm just simply going to taper in right here, and then bring this around and apply this petal as cleanly as I can. Still running at the same voltage. I just match my hand speed to the voltage and I'll be alright there. There we go. And then from here, I could even begin adding this little inner area since my hand's practically positioned right here to cover all of this anyway. There we go. And then from here, something about this design right here, since we're dealing with ointment and all of that, we're more prone to losing the stencil, especially on human skin. So what I'm going to do is come over here a little bit and still work this way. So I'm going to get my alignment here and apply this line like so. There we go. I'm going to dab away. I'm going to go ahead and get some more ink. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come this way. And I'm knocking out the right side of this design because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you're going to be prone to losing the left side of the stencil because you would naturally start on that side. At least that's how I would do it. So from here, you now see I have a little bit more luxury to come over here and now work this area. I have two choices. I can come back, start working this, or I can continue to work this side. Since I'm right here, I'm actually going to continue to work this side over here. So I'm going to taper in. And out, like so. Excuse me. Went back for some more ink. I gotta make sure I have adequate ink flow. Taper in because a line's gonna go there from the petal and out. And when I said taper in, a line's gonna go there, I meant right here, this area. I'll show you right now actually, just for demonstration. I'm gonna come right here, and I think you can do this too if you'd like. I'm gonna bring this around. Same rule of thumb applies to this line. At the beginning of this line, I taper it in, and you can see how they intersect. So to prevent blobs and textured and scarring in those areas, you want to use tapers. Don't fully commit to the needle injection at those points, so to speak, is what I'm saying. You can see that I'm getting a clean sort of read here. I'm going to continue with this area right here. I'm going to make my way up this way and around. Taper out. Same thing with this way. Taper out like so. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and go back for some more ink. I'm I'm going to put the petroleum jelly on there, wipe away, make sure that I'm getting consistent results. You want to do the same. Make sure that each and every step of the way that you're getting clean and consistent results, because if you're not, you could adjust real time for a better result at the end. That line's going to be done, and then I'm going to do this line right here. Like so. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and dab away. I'm going to put some ointment right there, wipe away, and that's what I have. So now when I come back over here, I have all the freedom that I want to navigate and apply all of these areas without the worry of losing this side of the tattoo. So from here, I'm going to go back for some more ink. I always got to make sure I got the adequate ink flow going, so that way every deposit is hitting with all 7 needles, and I'm capturing the integrity of the design. I'm going to go ahead and go back for a deposit here. I'm going to start right here with a smile taper in, and then I'm going to bring this around. Like so. There we go. Dab away. And I'm going to continue working this area. So the same thing right here. And taper in to the existing line. We're going back for some more ink. A little bit of ointment. I'll go ahead and wipe away here in a moment. And I'm going to bring it back this way like so. To kind of match the aesthetic though for the other side, we'll use a little taper like that. Follow the routine. Now you can see how I was going to start slipping, and you can see how easy that is. We can just literally start overworking and then losing the entire stencil, which makes the process much more stressful. Not only this tattoo, but every single one that we take after that is going to be daunting, and we're just essentially going to be fearful of losing the stencil. We don't want to become fearful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down here and reposition myself and stick to the flow that I was using right now. Let me apply these last lines right here. There we go. Let's apply these in here. Now at some point our hand is going to intersect with a fresh stencil. We just have to pick and choose our battles. I'm going back for some more ink here. Still with the same needle size, so that way for those following at home, we don't have to switch out a needle. It can be an easier process to apply. And then I'm going to kind of continue. So from here, I'm going to continue. There we go. And then from here, I'm going to actually move over to this side over here, following the same routine as the other side. The other side has a bit of a taper, so we're going to go ahead and try to stay true to that cosmetic. Just like that. And like that. Okay, cool. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and go to this side. And taper into those existing lines. There we go. Although it's not ideally identical, for me, especially when we're just starting out, that's perfectly fine. We'll pay attention to those as we keep progressing. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and start right here. Taper in, because there's an existing line. And it's just a very mild taper. You hardly see me do it, but it's there. So I'm going to go ahead and go like so. Now I notice that I'm actually getting into this area right here. If this were a human skin tattoo, I'd be more prone to losing the stencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just this. I'm going to start right here and start implementing this part of the design. So I'm actually going to bring it all the way up to the top right here, as I see the flow right here. And I'm just going to follow this as cleanly as I can here. Dab away. I'm going to go back here. And then by applying this side, I get more freedom to work the surrounding areas. There we go. And then I'm going to keep continuing on. I'm going to go ahead and get some more ink here. Dab away, make sure that I'm pulling consistent lines all the way through. Each one's neighboring one another well. Yes, they are. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to add the rest of those clouds on this side right here. There we go. I'm going to go back for some more ink as I was running low on that round. You never really want to allow yourself to have inadequate ink flow, because that can ruin the design. You can have all the techniques and everything aligned, but if your ink flow isn't right, then your lines won't be. I'm going to go ahead and connect the remaining part of this side here. Just trying to remain as clean and consistent as I possibly can. I'm not by any means perfect or even close to it, but I will definitely try my best. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe away here. And now I have more luxury to work this area and these areas without fearing of losing the design. So from here, I can go ahead and continue working the design in any manner that I like. I can kind of start this area on this side if I want, which is not bad. I can kind of continue on this side. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually continue on this side right here. There we go. I'm going to dab away. Apply this part right here. So you can see though that there's nothing under my hand, so I'm not worried about losing any part of the design, which makes this area right here to add a no-brainer. And then once I add this successfully, I don't have to come back to it, but more importantly, I no longer have to worry about losing this part of the design anymore. There we go. Dab away, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next part of this design. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and go back for some more ink, make sure that I got adequate ink flow, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply this side over here. Reason being is I would like to start closing off this end and finishing it off. Same thing with this side, small taper in. Every line I do, there's always a taper in and out, no matter what. And they're mild, sometimes they're longer, depending on the result that I'm going for. So the same thing over here. Bring this up, bring it down. And then I'm going to bring this line down. like so. I'm gonna go ahead and dab away. I'm gonna go back for some more ink. Let me wipe the stencil away. Now when I'm doing a tattoo on human skin, there's no need to do ointment like that and then do all of the wiping. On human skin, we just simply dab and then we keep it going. Let's go ahead and wipe that away. I'm gonna create the connection from here to here. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and apply these inner lines and keep moving and progressing downwards. Each section I add is a section I no longer have to worry about, which makes the entire flow that much more or less stressful. So the way I look at it is every line I add, the less stress I am to apply this tattoo correctly. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and kind of continue. So here we go. Same thing from here. And here. There we go. Nice and clean. And then from here, I have these little like guard lines. So I'm going to go ahead and do those. And these are just going to go as simple as just kind of tallies going this way. Make sure they're spaced out evenly. Especially if you can't see the stencil, it's okay to improvise, especially in a small area like this. But it's just got to be even and clean. So here we go. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and dab away. And then I'm going to keep going here. I'm going back for some more ink. Wipe away. And then there's one last one right here going this way. There we go. And then now I could add these lines right here. And I keep the follow alongs real time. I don't speed them up. So that way you can follow along with me. Now the point of me even saying that is because if you're behind and you're not where I am, don't speed up for me. You can pause the video, catch up, and then keep doing that throughout your workflow. I remember when I first started, I was really slow. I'm going to tattoo this window area so that way I can do the lines easily. When I first started, I would tattoo really slow, and then over time, once we start fine-tuning our hand speed and our voltage and our workflow and our technique, speed comes naturally. Being fast shouldn't be a priority ever in tattooing. I'm going to taper in, bring this window around. I like to move at 6 volts because I get to move slow enough to control as much as I can and fast enough to where I don't damage the skin. So here we go. There we go. I'm going to go back for some more ink. And then I'm going to go this way. So now I have all the freedom to position myself comfortably here, which I'm going to now do. There we go. Same thing with this one over here. I'm just beginning to close everything off now. I'm going to go back for some more ink here. And whenever I also go back for more ink, that doesn't mean that you have to. It's just a sign of letting you know how much I'm grabbing more ink, so that way you can see my real-time process here. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and taper out. Same thing with this side, bring this line up and taper out like so. I'm going to go ahead and bring that line in. I'm going to go back for some more ink here. Finish these little lines right here. Little tallies from point A to B. There we go. Let's do these little lines right here. And then we're going to finish it off with this side, and we can call this one done. Remember, it's important to keep a level head. If we're just starting out, we shouldn't be going for perfection. Nothing's going to be perfect. What we're going to do is we're going to make mistakes, and then afterwards we can see what we don't like about the tattoo that we did, and then try this design again 2 or 3 times, and I guarantee you're going to see gradual improvement. So let's go ahead and finish this last piece together here. Let's bring this win home. I'm going to go ahead and go back for some more ink. And then from here, I'm going to do this line, posture position. There we go. Taper in every line, taper out every line, as much as needed. There we go. And then I'm going to do this line right here. The next line on this side. And the last outer line. I am going to go back for some more ink. Always got to make sure I have adequate ink flow. There we go. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and add the clouds last. This is going to be the final part of this tattoo. Still running at 6 volts. Did not feel the need to change, as I'm comfortable here in this rhythm. As I mentioned, speed is definitely not a priority. I'm going to go back for some more ink to bring this win home here. Here we go. Let's bring it around. Taper out and finish these last little humps, and we are done. There we go. So now all I have to do is simply get a generous amount of ointment, apply it to the design, make sure all the lines and everything is clean, solid, consistent. All the lines have to be neighboring one another well. If they're not, then we're in trouble there. Now, if you were just starting out and yours came out highly inconsistent, especially if you're a beginner, don't beat yourself up. That's definitely a part of the process. However, if you've been tattooing for a while and you're still getting inconsistent lines, let me know down below, what your voltage was, what needle size you were using, what machine and stroke, and then we can kind of take it from there. But these are the final results that I got. let me go ahead and give you a better view. This right here is what I got. These are my final results. I'm very happy. All of the lines came out clean, consistent. They all neighbor one another well. Although it's not ideally symmetrical, at a first read, it definitely is close. However, I can see some improvements on where I went wrong, which I will take into consideration for my future tattoos. That'll be it for this one. I do hope that you can find some value from this video. At the very least, I hope that it was fun. If your tattoo didn't come out the way that you wanted it to, please don't beat yourself up. Come back in about a day or two, retry this design. Do that about 2 to 5 times and you will definitely see gradual improvement. If you found this video helpful, consider giving this video a thumbs up, sharing it with someone you feel can benefit from it. Consider subscribing to my channel, as I will be bringing more follow-alongs for you all. With that being said, I thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time. Thank you for following along with me. I hope you have a great day.